Welcome to 2025. It is a new year and we have changes across the board for Blue Falcon Aerial. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what those changes are, why we're doing it, what impact are they going to have, where are we going, and also the future opportunities that do exist. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first thing I want to go over is the intention. And we're going to talk specifically about the Homeowner Protection Program and what was the intention and why are we making any adjustments on this. So first off, what was the intention of the Homeowner Protection Program? Our goal is to protect homeowners and connect them with ethical roofing companies. This is designed as a win-win-win. Reason why? Homeowners are given free documentation for protection against bad faith insurance companies. They also don't pay a dime. They are also connected to ethical roofing companies, and we get commission from the roofing companies on the back end. So ultimately, homeowners are getting a ton of value entirely for free, and they get connected with people who are actually going to take care of them. All right. Now, as far as the roofers, why is it a win for them? Well, they are getting high quality pre-qualified leads that are on a percentage of revenue, right? So that means that they only are paying if there's revenue generated, which of course is extremely attractive for our roofing partners. And the only thing that they have to do is take care of the homeowners that we send their way. Now, why is it a win for pilots? Well, it lets you build your own business and use our existing framework. So essentially, if you already have the equipment, you go out there, you build your own business, you work your own market, and that's basically what that looks like. And as a whole, over the course of time, the dollar amount that you're getting as a pilot is very significant because there's a ton of money in the roofing industry. All right, so let's go through. So what we have done is we have done a Pareto principle. And if you've been following me on Facebook and things like that, I have talked about this extensively over the last few weeks, just talking about 80-20, 80-20. 20% of the, or 80% of the actual results of your company or of any thing that you're doing typically are going to come from 20% of the actions. And so ultimately your goal is to find out what are those 20% of actions that are resulting in 80% of the actual results. And the Homeowner Protection Program fell under that 80-20 as far as it was taking 80% of our time, but producing very little amount of actual results comparatively. And that's ultimately why we're making these adjustments. So yeah, and we already talked about this. So for homeowners, right? Why has this been so dang challenging? Well, number one, homeowners have been very hard to convince them that the program isn't a scam. Okay, and this is a very legitimate thing. It's been extremely hard to build that trust with those homeowners, and each one of those homeowners has to have a legitimate conversation. This actually takes work to do something for someone entirely for free, because people as a whole think if it's free, it's a scam. Even if it's not, it doesn't matter. In their mind, free doesn't exist. It has to be a scam. And so ultimately, it took so much time to actually get through to them and explain to them what's happening. And the best way to get through with them is referrals. And that's the other part. Referrals as a whole have not been as powerful as we think they should be, right? And because the referrals are not working as well, it means that our cost of acquisition have been way too high. Cost of acquisition is ultimately how much money do you have to spend on average in order to get a customer or a client, right? Well, if you're having to pay an exorbitant amount of money just to do something entirely for free for somebody, obviously there's some serious issues there. And our cost of acquisition has been way too high collectively, right? Now, regarding our referral partners, Oklahoma City, I have very strong referral partners because I have been building those networks myself. So because of that, I am getting consistent work in Oklahoma City. We have all those existing networks. Everything's going pretty dang well here. However, outside of Oklahoma City, I've been reliant upon the local pilots to go out there and build those networks up. And I'll be very frank, it's been extremely difficult and to get any sort of results outside of Oklahoma City regarding homeowners. So the next one, pilots, okay? Pilot output has been very underwhelming, okay? we have somewhere around 168, I believe, licensed pilots. That is pilots that have actually signed up with our team. However, on average, out of those 168 pilots, we only were able to generate 1.8 houses per licensed pilot. We went back through the numbers, and unfortunately, this is the realistic output of what we are getting for having a licensed pilot. And as you can probably imagine, 1.8 houses per licensed pilot. Well, one of those houses typically is going to be the house that they live in, because we actually would give compensation just for flying your own house, right? So that means that outside of your house, most pilots are not even able to go out there and find a single other homeowner, which of course is insane to me, because you can't tell me you can't find neighbors, friends, families, co-workers, any sort of buddies or anything else. Like it's mind-boggling to me that this is actually that big of an issue. However, clearly it is, and it's just not sustainable, and that is a huge issue. Now, the second thing, pilots are getting frustrated when they're not getting payouts. So they're going out there and doing their average of 1.8 houses, and then, irritated that they're not getting any results out of those houses. Personally, I have flown well over 200 houses. If you go out there and you are doing significant amount of volume, the law of averages will catch up, but you have to do those additional things. And so someone will go out there, they'll capture some houses, not get immediate results, and then bail on the program, and it just creates further issues, which I'll talk about in the next section when I go to the roofers. Now, the next issue when it comes to pilots is remote delivery has been largely ineffective, so pilots need to deliver or we do not get results. This has been something I have tried to refine and figure out how to make this process better. Because if a pilot is delivering themselves, they have a much higher success rate than if we deliver it on their behalf. We've tried videos, we've tried emails, we've tried reports, we've tried phone calls, we've tried Zoom sessions. We've tried so many different things, but the only way to effectively get homeowners to go to the next step, which is talking to our roofing partners, is to do a in-person delivery. We can't do that from Oklahoma City, which means our Oklahoma City close rate is significantly higher than anywhere else in the country, which of course also is the issue about being frustrated when they're not getting payouts. They're going out there, they're doing the work, but they're not actually getting payouts, which of course is an issue. So they have to do the delivery or they don't get results, which of course limits the number of people who are willing to go out there, because it is a quote unquote sales role. Okay. It's much more difficult to find drone pilots who also have sales experience and are willing to talk to people. Now, the other additional problem here is that we are having very inconsistent quality across our market. Because they're contractors and not W-2, we can't control quality as well. And because of that, a lot of the actual results that we're getting will not protect a homeowner, which is our ultimate goal, right? Our ultimate goal is to produce data that is actionable and that can protect that homeowner. Well, if we're not getting close enough, if we're not getting the right drone, if we're not focusing correctly, if we're shooting too late, if we don't have the right level of exposure, etc., or not have enough photos, you're not actually doing a service to the homeowner, and you're giving them a false sense of security instead of actually providing them actionable data that will protect them. So for all these reasons, we're having a ton of issues. Okay, next one. When it comes to the roofers, okay, roofers, they have been extremely hard to communicate with outside of Oklahoma City. Okay, Oklahoma City, it's much easier. Myself, Logan, the rest of my team can walk in there, beat down their door, and we can make things happen, okay? However, when we're dealing with ones that are across the country, I can't do those things. All we can do is call, we can email, we can send direct mail, but ultimately though, it's extremely hard to communicate with these roofing contractors. and it's very, very challenging. So a lot of our time is simply just trying to get status updates, which, because we're not getting status updates, that frustrates our pilots as well, right? So roofers will not communicate. The pilots are getting frustrated because we're not communicating, and we're unable to communicate because roofers aren't communicating. Like, it becomes a huge issue there, and it's been very frustrating. Now, the next thing is roofers are feeling betrayed when they're told they're going to get volume, and then we just don't actually give them the volume they expected, right? And what I mean by this is we'll go out there and build up a market around a pilot who says they're going to go out there and kick butt. So we're going to go out there, random city, Omaha, Nebraska. Okay. We go to Omaha. We have a pilot who says, I'm going to do Omaha. I'm going to make it work. I'm motivated. I'm going to do this. Right. So we go out there, we find the roofers, the pilot gets built. He goes out there, he gets frustrated, he leaves. And then we have 2 or 3 roofing companies in the Omaha area who now have went through all this screening process, are now under contract, and we have vetted them and everything else. And now now the pilot has left, and we are now unable to actually provide them with any volume of leads, right? This is extraordinarily common, and it's so frustrating. So what happened was this caused roofers to abandon the program, and we currently have around an 80% churn rate, okay? What that means is around 80% of the roofers that we started with when we did legitimately have a nationwide program, now we only have 20% of the initial roofers we used to have. So basically, it has created this catch-up thing where we'll have a pilot that wants to get started, and we have to start this process all over again, different markets, because we can't retain our roofers. Huge issue, okay? Now, another thing as well is the FalconCare Program, which we were trying to do to try to salvage this whole entire homeowner protection program. It's been largely ineffective. The existing FalconCare model, that where the roofer would essentially give us a percentage and we would go out there, etc., that has been mostly ineffective. I will talk about the new changes. However, just know it was not nearly as effective as we expected it to be, and so we've had to do different things. All right. Now, when it comes to Blue Falcon, okay, and I want to make this extremely clear. I am not just going to go out here and blame everybody else. That is not at all what I'm saying, because we are absolutely by no means innocent, okay? We have had many growing pains. We've had a ton of miscommunication and poor communication. We have not done the right things many times. I've tried to be as transparent as possible. I try to wear my heart in my sleeve. I'm trying to communicate the best I can. However, ultimately, we did not do an effective job at many different things throughout this process. We have had many growing pains. Now, we did transition to a new platform, and that did help resolve a lot of the issues. The Team Talk system is phenomenally better than it used to be. However, the problem still exists, and it's one of those things, like I said at the very beginning, the Pareto principle, 80-20, right? This program has been an absolute pain in the butt. So let's just go ahead and index it so that we can, let's moonlight, let's move on so we can focus on what actually does work, which we have quite a few different things that are working very well, but this just simply is not one of them, all right? Now, given enough time, I am extremely confident this program will be successful. And I want to go back and do this again. However, the opportunity cost of us focusing on this instead of the things that are working is absolutely killing us. And we've just got to do something. So, changes. Homeowner Protection Program is being moonlighted outside of Oklahoma and Texas. This is a strong statement. If you are outside of those two markets, I'm sorry, we are no longer supporting it. It is just an absolute nightmare for us. We have got to focus our efforts because this is just getting ridiculous. All right. So why Oklahoma and Texas? Well, we already have a very well-established roofer and solar network in both of those markets. It's much easier for us to manage because we are out of Oklahoma. We're able to really develop this program before attempting to expand again. And I also put on here as well that Texas is on notice. So we are going to work on Texas, and this is something that we are going to continue doing. However, Texas is another market to where I don't know. We're gonna work on it. We're gonna develop it. We're gonna maintain it. But there is a legitimate possibility that we only focus in Oklahoma. But that's not the situation right now. We also think that we can handle Texas as well. Okay. Now, when it comes to any licensing agreements, okay, everybody outside of those two regions are totally released from existing licensing agreements, and you are absolutely 100% encouraged to reach out to local roofers if you have questions, if you want, best tips and practices and yada, yada, yada. You want to develop your own system like we already did. I encourage it. I have no issue with it, okay? The only two regions I want to continue protecting because we are still active is Oklahoma and Texas. Is the only two. And if you have reached out to me asking for a release from the contract, every single person has been released, okay? So we're not trying to hold anybody. So ultimately, we messed up because we overextended too quickly. And so I don't want to hinder your success because of our mistakes, right? So if you request it, you will be released, all right? And for anybody outside of Oklahoma and Texas, it's done, okay? There's no question about that. You can use this video, whatever, but I am releasing all contracts, all license agreements outside of Oklahoma and Texas. All right. So now let's talk about what actually is working, okay? Now, the first one is our FalconCare. I said that we are changing it, we're modifying it, etc. But this is ultimately what the goal of FalconCare is, okay? FalconCare Program is to help roofing companies connect with their past homeowners and also help in re-inspections, okay? That's the goal. So ultimately, a roofing company wants to connect with their past homeowners and, do follow-ups and things like that. And we also are able to help in re-inspections because we know drones have phenomenal potential to really give really great data to hold insurance companies' feet to the fire and make them pay out the claims that they're required to, right? So there's a lot of value there, and that's really where the FalconCare program is. So FalconCare is all about quality and helping build a relationship with that homeowner. So we work as a liaison and essentially help that roofing company be empowered and communicate and really build that relationship with that homeowner. Now, when it comes to the FalconCare program, and I'll talk more about this next slide, we are adding W-2 pilots to markets that have enough volume, okay? So Oklahoma City, we already have a W-2 pilot that's en route. And why? Is because I have a roofing company in Oklahoma City that already has agreed to do 5,000 homes this year in Oklahoma City, right? So Oklahoma City alone has enough to sustain that one pilot, potentially two, maybe even three, okay? So this is potentially consistent work if you want to do FalconCare, all right? And the next thing is, if we are getting paid money now to do FalconCare, which we are, they are now paying us a dollar amount, we are then essentially providing a service. It is now a pay to play. Okay, so if you're doing FalconCare, it is a pay to play. We get paid cash, so do you. All right. Now, here's the deal. We are paying $75 for each capture. Okay, $75 for each capture. Okay, I'm not going to say it's a lot. I fully understand. However, this is something I've done some market testing with a few different pilots, and honestly, it makes a lot of sense, especially when we have so many, okay? So as you can see on the bottom, 6 to 9 per day is feasible. Typically, a roofing company doesn't just give us one. They're gonna give us a whole list, so you can go out there and spend the next week or two and really just rack up as many as you want, okay? So $75 per capture absolutely makes sense. I have plenty of pilots who want it, so there you go. Now, it's always negotiable. If you want to have a conversation about that or whatever, I totally understand, but that is what our promoted rate is going to be for that. Now, as far as this actual capture profile, one battery on the Mavic 3 Enterprise will get it done. Okay, I do it literally every single time. I don't ever use 2 batteries. Some people do, but I have plenty of videos and things like that I put on the school page showing doing this entire shot profile on 1 battery. I also average about 20 minutes, okay? So the Mavic 3 has at least a 35 to 40 minute flight time, which means 30 minutes is totally, or 20 minutes is totally doable. Now, up to an hour with the Mavic 3 Other, okay? So if you're using something that's not the Mavic 3, the Enterprise series, like a Mavic 3 Classic or Cine or Pro or something like that, it doesn't necessarily have the 0.6 second auto snap, which is required for some, or not required, but it makes some of the actual shots a lot faster. Okay, so if you don't have a drone like the Mavic 3 Enterprise, this can take significant more time, up to an hour, but I still don't think it should take you more than maybe 40 minutes. I really don't. Okay, and the only drones we're going to allow are the Mavic 3, anything but the Mavic 3T. Okay, that 4/3 Hasselblad is really what we're looking for. Mavic 2 Pro, Air 2S, and Air 3S. We've done testing with all of those. They all produce great data. If they're outside of these drones, I don't want it. Okay, I'll make that very clear. Especially if we're paying for each one of these captures, I want to make sure we have the right drone. So those are the only ones we're going to allow. Mavic 3 Enterprise is preferred because it really takes a lot less time from you and you don't have to be out there as long. However, the Mavic 3, anything but the T, Mavic 2 Pro, Air 2S, and Air 3S. Okay, now, since we are paying now for these, and it's not just a revenue share thing, you must follow the shot sheet completely. Okay, this is non-negotiable. You must follow the shot sheet completely. Okay, also you schedule this on your own time, which is really cool. So you basically, the roofer says, hey, these are the 100, 200, 300 houses that I want done. We go through, we qualify them, you have them, you have a huge list, and you just work them. 6 to 9 per day, I think is totally feasible, especially if you have a Mavic 3 Enterprise. If you don't have Mavic 3 Enterprise, probably looking at about 4 to 5, but it's still a great deal if you want to do it. So that's that. Now, the next one, and this is our new program, and we're really excited about this one. This is called our Storm Support. So what does this do? This is built to help roofers manage overwhelming inspection volumes after a storm, okay? If you're in the central part of the US, you know what I'm talking about. When a storm comes through, things get wild, right? All the roofers from all over, all out of state and everything else, they all slam into an area. They're knocking everybody's door. It gets pretty wild, right? And so ultimately, though, the local roofing companies want to try to secure as many as they can. And so what they do is they partner with us, and then we have a rapid response team that will go out there and help them do inspections for pre-qualification, okay? So the program ensures that roofers can scale efficiently and maintain quality service for their clients. It gives our partners information to focus their efforts on revenue-generating leads before the window is closed and it's too late. So ultimately, here's the deal. When a storm comes through and there's a ton of houses out there, the roofers only have a finite amount of time before those out-of-state roofers or their competitors start hitting them. And it's a supply and demand sort of thing as far as like there's a whole lot of demand and, you know, it's going to equal out. And usually that's going to mean that all these out-of-state guys come in there. So basically storms come in, roofers get overwhelmed, and we're there to help. Okay. This is the damaging storm events that have happened across the United States. I think we totaled them out and there was like 4,500 that happened last year. Okay, so as you can see, on the eastern part of the US, there's a ton of damaging storms. On the western side of the US, there's really not, okay? Can't make that much clearer. You can obviously tell on the eastern side, there's a whole lot of damage, and on a whole lot of storms that are damaging, and on the western side, there's really not much at all, okay? Now, this right here is our core area that we're really focusing on, okay? So we're gonna have essentially from central Texas up to around South Dakota, over into Michigan, down here, Georgia and Alabama. That's really where our biggest focus is at. You guys can see that. So, now a lot of people ask about Florida. Can we support it? Yes, but it's not necessarily the same thing. But yeah, if you are in Florida and you really want to do this, which apparently is a very common thing, we can support it, but it's not something we're really focusing on. Really, if you're in this area, I want as many pilots as possible to sign up, and I will make it worth your time. So let's talk about that. So when you sign up, you tell us the distance you're willing to travel, whatever that is, okay? If you want to put on there and say that I will travel nationwide, great. Either way is totally fine. You get added to a list, and then we will essentially contact you as things get hit. Now, when a hailstorm does come through, we will contact you and see if you want to get activated. This is going to happen over an email for now. We are building an app, an actual proper platform, but that's something that we're building out. However, for right now, it's just an email. Let's do it old school. Let's get a feasibility. Let's test it, make sure it works, and then we can professionalize, right? So you are given a list of houses and you contact information, okay? You're probably going to get somewhere between 10 and 25 houses. Okay, this is just something to expect. You're given 10 to 25 houses. You are given a massive list. You reach out to them. You say, hey, I'm with XYZ Roofing Company and we're coming out here. But just to understand, the roofing company has already contacted them ahead of time. So it's not even like you're really selling the company. You're simply just saying, hey, I'm the pilot. I'm going to be coming out there. What would make sense for you? Okay. You go out there, you fly their house with the shop profile we provide. This is where it's different. Okay. This shop profile is extremely similar or extremely simple. So for instance, the FalconCare shop profile is somewhere between 500 and 800 photos. Okay, 500 and 800 photos, very intensive. The storm support one is under 100 photos. Okay, under 100. Okay, so as you can tell, this is significantly easier. Okay. Once you fly those houses, you send it to us that night or while you're driving, and then you get paid within a week. So as soon as that market is closed, we'll do a final closeout of all pilots that were in that market. We close everything out and you get paid within a week. So net 7, which of course is, within a net 7, which of course is really attractive because most drone companies now are getting like net 30, net 45, net 60. Okay. We're going to pay out as soon as freaking possible. So as soon as that storm is completed, we tally everything up, we pay everything out at once, and we move on to the next storm, right? So this is activated by storms. They all have their own event, yada. Now, because you're only flying for 10 minutes, this is extremely quick. We totally expect pilots to get 10 to 15 per day. I don't see any reason why they can't. As long as they have an inverter or a way to charge their batteries, this is completely doable, okay? It's also not that much data relative. So ultimately, it's a whole lot easier. So we're paying $60 per house as our initial rate, okay? $60 per house, 10 houses a day, $600, up to 15. So it's what, $900 a day. Honestly, I don't think that's bad. And if you're willing to travel and storm chase essentially and go to markets that have been impacted, there will be significantly more money involved. Okay, so if you are interested in being a storm chaser and actually going to different ones across the market, there is more money involved. So if that's something you want to do, let us know. I know I was a telecom pilot for a long time. That is basically the lifestyle that I lived. And so if you're willing to essentially live on the road and go from storm to storm to storm, we'll make it worth your time. All right. So other opportunities. All right. There's other opportunities we have in Blue Falcons. So number one, we do have a sales team right now with high commission opportunities. There is significant money in roofing. We're making a lot of movement, yada. So if you want to join a sales team that has high commission opportunities, definitely reach out. Send me an email. Just send it to info@bluefalconaerial.com and let's have that conversation. All right. Now, the next thing we're building out a thermal program. I have several roofing companies that have requested this for a very long time, and we've continuously said no because we're focusing on the Homeowner Protection Program and getting the revenue share of FalconCare and everything else. Well, now that we essentially have killed off those things, now we're able to focus on building out these more professional commercial sort of programs, right? So a thermal program is one of our next focuses. So if you have a thermal drone and you're interested in joining a thermal team, we are building that out currently. We're also building a specialized team focused on high value commercial properties. I have a roofing company who has 3,000 commercial properties that requires a specialized sort of experience, and we're launching that in Q2. So Q2, so starting in around April, we're having a specialized team. This will be a W-2 position. If you're curious in that, opportunities galore, right? And then we're also doing a drone integration team for roofing companies, basically a roofing company that wants us to come in there and build up a drone program for them. We want trainers to go in there and basically help them develop it, right? So opportunities across the board. I just cannot stress it enough. So we are killing off some things basically to make room for the other things. And so, yeah, that's basically it though, guys. Like, there are a lot of opportunities. I just want to do a major update video so everyone knows what's going on and there's no sort of way of like any way to misunderstand it or things like that. I'm going to send people to this video if they have any questions on it. But ultimately, in the description of this video, I will have multiple different forms to fill out depending upon what you're interested in. If you're interested in certain things, just fill out different ones. It's going to make sure it gets filtered out to the right locations. And yeah, that's basically it. So if you have any questions, let me know. Hit me up in the comments, email me, etc. I will be as responsive as I can be. But as you can probably tell, things are getting really, really wild for us. And so give me some time to really get caught up, but things are definitely happening. So that's what I've got. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.